Welcome back to Primetime News and a special welcome once again to our viewers on onespotmedia.com. Up first this evening, confidence in the government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic has declined significantly in the last year. At the same time, more Jamaicans still rate the administration's handling of the pandemic as positive than those who do not. That's according to the findings of the RGR Gleaner Don Anderson poll. Vashon Brown has been looking at the findings and now joins us live. Vashon.
Thank you so much, Janella. Well, we're kicking off our daily coverage of the RGR Gleaner Don Anderson poll, which was done from August 19 to September 3. 1,003 persons were interviewed from all parishes across the island, and the poll has a margin of error of plus or minus 3%. As indicated, this evening we begin with the government's handling of the pandemic.
The government has been facing criticisms for its handling of the COVID-19 pandemic in recent times. Some have blamed the surge in cases and deaths on the relaxation of measures in July. Public health experts argued that it was a bad move because the positivity rate was still above 5%. So what do Jamaicans think about the administration's handling of the pandemic so far? They were asked between August 19 and September 3.
33% of all persons interviewed rated the government's performance as average. Neither good, neither bad, right? What's interesting to note is that 28% rated the performance of the government in how they handled the pandemic as being good, and another 13% said it was very good. So when you combine those two positives, we have 41% of all persons who considered the government's performance in the handling of the COVID-19 pandemic as being positive. On the other hand, we had a total of 26% who rated the performance as negative.
So more persons gave the government a positive rating for its handling of the pandemic than those who did not. But when compared to the findings of the July 2020 poll, there is a decline in confidence in the government's handling of the COVID-19 crisis in the last year. At that time, 37.4% of all persons interviewed said the government was doing a very good job, and another 36% said they were doing a good job. In other words, 73.4% gave the government a positive rating for the handling of the pandemic. Only 7.4% of the respondents said the government had done a poor or very poor job. The country is now battling a third wave of the virus, with hospitalizations still over 700. So as for who is really to be blamed for the spike in COVID-19 cases, the respondents said citizens and the government are largely at fault.
66% of all persons interviewed said the citizens are to be blamed. Now, in this particular issue, they gave more than one answer. So when the data is adding back to more than 100%, it means that some persons gave more than one answer. So taking into consideration that 66% of the citizens say that the citizens themselves are to blame for the spike, we now move to the second most important factor that was mentioned. And 46% of all persons interviewed say the government is responsible.
In the meantime, the effectiveness of weekly lockdowns continues to be widely debated. Some business leaders have asked the government to rethink the measure to prevent further fallout in the sector. The results show that most Jamaicans support the no-movement days. 54%, just about half of the respondents, described the weekend lockdowns as a good idea.
35%, however, not surprising, felt that it was not a good idea because we hear the concerns about weekend lockdowns and the impact it is having on businesses and public and personal life.
11% of the respondents said they were not sure.
Now, you may recall that at the beginning of the pandemic, the government quarantined specific areas like the entire parish of St. Catherine. The researchers essentially sought to take the respondents back to that time. Jamaicans were asked their views on the effectiveness of quarantining specific parishes as a way of limiting the spread of COVID-19. 61% said quarantining a specific parish was effective. The other 39% did not think so.
Okay, and Vashon, just over 1,000 people were interviewed for this poll, right?
That's correct, Janella. So whenever we do these polls, it is always important for us to explain the sampling process. So here's pollster Don Anderson.
Whilst the sample size is important, the more important factor for the reliability of data is the representativeness of the sample. So If the sample is fully representative of the population from which it is chosen, and that is what ensures the reliability more so than the size of the sample. Just want to make that clear. Size of the sample is important. It is not the most important indicator of the reliability of the data. The representativeness is what really counts.
All right, and lots of issues to be explored in the coming days, right?
Yes, indeed, Janella. So we will look at issues like whether taking the COVID-19 vaccine should be mandatory. What do people think about the recent reopening of the entertainment sector? Then there is COVID-19 and education. We will also look at the political issues, including the overall performance of the government and the opposition, and of course, the big one, the party standings.